Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Blind Gooner. Welcome to everybody watching on YouTube, and welcome to the Facebook viewers as well on my Facebook page. I hope everybody's having a wonderful evening. And apologies that this transfer show was meant to be yesterday, and then obviously I'd had a busy day with the family and stuff, so I had to delay it till today. And obviously it was originally meant to be Monday, but you know how it is, things happen. But here we are again, and joining me this evening, as you can all see, is Sam. How are you, Sam?
Hi, Daniel. I'm good, thanks. Nice to be here again. It's been a while. Been away, and different stuff has been going on. But yeah, it's great to be back again. It's always a pleasure to be here, and I hope you're well too, mate. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm really well. I'm
Good.
looking forward to the FA Cup final. Looking forward to closing off what's been a poor season, really, isn't it?
Exactly. It could be a nice ending to what's been a complete barrel of shit. It could be a nice little ending, couldn't it, if we win that?
Yes. Yeah, it could be.
End on a high note, maybe, if we're lucky.
Definitely, and that's what we need to do. We need to end on a high note. Yeah, we do need to end on a high note, Sam. Because it has been a pretty strange season, hasn't it? It's been
crap,
one
really.
of those. Well, it's been one of those seasons, Sam, because at the start of the season, everybody thought, oh, great, we've got enough to get into the top four. And then it became apparent very early on that we was not going to make the top four.
Yeah.
And we've just spent the rest of the season treading water. We went from the sacking of Unai Emery to, the interim period with Freddie Ljungberg. And then the appointment of Arteta, and things have not really picked up. It's been a season of fits and starts for Arsenal. So we've had a few good spells, and but nothing really consistent, and nothing consistent enough to mount a serious top four challenge or even in the Europa League. So yeah, it has been a very, very strange season, a very, very disappointing season, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can say there's a huge gap between our expectations before the season started. Like you said, we were sort of thinking, oh, we might have some players here for a top four finish. Pepe, I think everyone was expecting Pepe to just. I don't think many people. Well, there's probably quite a few expected him to sort of, jump out the gates as some kind of amazing player straight away, without needing to adapt or anything like that. Hey, Natish, how you doing, brother? Are you okay?
Yeah, Natish here.
There he is. Mr. Mumbai's in the house.
Yeah, Mr. Mumbai.
Anyway, as I was just saying, I don't think everyone. Well, I don't think very many people expected him to sort of like get out of the gates running tight. To say it that way, and expecting to be an amazing player straight away. But I think people expected a lot more of him and other players to play better, a bit more stability, and we were definitely with the transfers and everything, we were thinking we might be able to get into the top four, but it just didn't happen, did it? I mean, everything just went completely the opposite way, did it? And then all the things happened, with, like you said, sacking Emery, Ljungberg, bringing in Arteta, his time needed to get going and everything, and some of the players haven't delivered. Some of the players have done quite well. We've got a couple of new, stars coming through in Saka, haven't we? We saw Martinelli was doing really well. And Pepe, unfortunately hasn't done very well, has he? Hasn't really delivered as expected. And there's a combination of things. It just hasn't happened this season, has it? And it's been quite poor. And I think, ending up where we ended up is nowhere near where we want to be. So yeah, it's just they've got to figure it out now, haven't they? They've got to get things going in the right direction.
And yeah, as the title says, it's a big. Arsenal have got a big summer ahead. And
very much.
I want to ask you, because we have seen so many reports already, and people have jumped on those reports, and listen, we're gonna, and it's probably best that we do start with this whole Thomas Partey thing, because I saw that, I know, Nitesh, you post, I think it was you posted the report on Twitter or something the other day, that Arsenal have had their 25 million plus Guendouzi rejected, which and a lot of people thought that, okay, that's it, Arsenal are not getting Partey because of that. So yeah, what do you make of all that so far, and what do you make of the situation that's developing, and what do you make of Thomas Partey? Do you think we'll get him, or do you think that it's pretty much not going to get him, or where do you stand on that?
Before that, thanks to everyone, and Daniel and Sam. Sam, I'm doing well as well. I was just waiting for you to finish that point, and the only thing that I could remember on that top 4 thing is the Daniel's Ozil song. That is.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have that. Where we're getting the Ozil song, Daniel? You gotta do that soon, haven't you? Where are we getting that?
I am gonna do it. Do you know what it is, right? I am gonna do it, but I'm waiting for the simple fact being that Simpy's away with his family. Kevin, I know, has just got a new job, so he's away. So I'm waiting to get everybody together, and then I'm going to do a stream where everybody comes on, and everybody who was there when I made the well, listen, I stupidly kind of said on screen. So yeah, I'm waiting until everybody who was there who would want to witness that. So yeah, that is happening. But just when everybody's together. So I haven't forgotten.
Good.
Don't worry, I'm not doing a Stan Kroenke and ducking my responsibilities. That is going to happen.
It's good. Looking forward to that.
So what I was saying was, probably, I don't remember if I posted it. I must have posted some of the journalists saying it. Otherwise, it must be all brownie everywhere, because he's been sending me rumor after rumor about the Thomas Partey deal every day on my Facebook Messenger, and I am always like half asleep, so I don't bother to respond to those. And he has some rumor coming in every day of the week. So it's like a flavor of condom that he uses every night, and it changes every night. So he keeps sending me those every night, and I think he was also one of the guys who tagged me recently on Facebook in a video which he had done before, that the Partey deal is not coming. Then he made another video that Arsenal have bottled the Partey deal. So he's the one who keeps posting these things. I hope he's not the informant that some of these journalists have, and they're not listening to him about these stories and while they post them. Because I know he can. I know he can pick his Russian chicks, but can he pick his transfer rumors? I guess not.
It makes no sense. I mean, we've got the whole transfer window now until October. This thing is going to drag on and drag on and drag on. You can just see that happening. Yeah. It's not going to be done. And to say that it's all concluded, done and dusted, I mean, like we know we're not going to buy him, we don't have the money. It just makes no sense. It doesn't. I mean, we're what, like we're the 12th richest club in the world now. I mean, I know we've gone down a bit, but I mean, we're the 12th richest club in the world. I mean, close to the top 10. To say we don't have money just makes no sense. Of course, we've got money. It's just we're really, really, really bad at spending it. We spend it on the wrong players, and we're really tight on the money. We don't want to spend a penny more than we want to. That is what it is. But the money's there. We just don't spend it like Chelsea, Real Madrid, and other teams.
And the other thing is, right, that people have to remember that how transfers work is that, yes, Thomas Partey's got a release clause of 40-something million, 42. but a 43 million or 40 odd million or whatever it is. But how transfers work is that what happens is that a club will come in. Say a club wants, say Thomas Partey. they're going to come in and try and get the best deal possible for them. Equally, Atletico want the best deal possible for them. So Arsenal coming in with a 25 plus Guendouzi is just, in my opinion, like an opening offer. And now that Atletico have rejected that, it's up to Arsenal to come back in with a better deal that suits them. And usually what happens is they'll go like cat and mouse for maybe however long it takes, and then hopefully, if a deal is to be done, they'll reach an agreement that suits both parties. And that is genuinely how transfers work. It's very, very rare. Yeah, clubs have done it, like gone out there and put the money up front, but it's very, very rare for that to happen. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot of, like I say, there's a lot of negotiating. There's a lot of things to happen for a deal to go through. It's not just as cut and dry as giving the money and that's it, because there's a lot of agents involved. There's a lot of things to fall into place. Like with Kieran Tierney, last season that dragged on right through the whole of the summer. And you could look at it and say that Arsenal should have just gone and paid the 25 million, but no club does that. A buying club is going to try and buy for the least possible amount of money, and a selling club is going to try and sell for the most amount of money. It's just whether the clubs can meet in the middle and come to an agreement. That's genuinely what happens. So when people lose their shit about of an opening bid being rejected, the same happened with Pepe. I remember all through the summer we were linked with Pepe, and people, it was a lot of us didn't believe it because Pepe at that time when we signed him was destined for Barcelona or Real Madrid. He was destined to go somewhere bigger than us. So we pulled it out. We were lucky to put it out the bag. I mean, forget the season that he's had, because at that time we didn't know how he was going to perform. But nobody expected it. Nobody expected the Pepe deal. And even the week before we signed Pepe, you got guys like David Ornstein coming out going, "Oh, Pepe's not going to happen. It's not. It's off. It's completely off. Pepe's not going to come to he's not going to go to Arsenal. Arsenal can't afford him." And then a week later, we got him. So there's a lot of hearsay when the transfer window opens. There's always a lot of rumors. There's a lot of hearsay. There's a lot of, quite frankly, there's a lot of bollocks. And you just have to wade through the bollocks to get to the actual facts and the actual truth.
The thing with Pepe is actually I feel that Pepe was more of a panic buy by Arsenal. It was when they failed to get Zaha, they have gone for Pepe. Because if you see the price tag, there isn't too much difference. The second thing is Pepe isn't even a starter for the Ivory Coast. Zaha is in the first team. So I think it was more of the board trying to prove to Arsenal fans that we actually can get big players. And they went for Pepe. And I see that because of his one-footed problem that he has, I think maybe Barcelona and Real Madrid didn't really bother to chase him that much. They got so many quality options that they can probably go in for. Coming back to the Thomas Partey deal, one thing is there. A lot of fans were saying that let's sell off Guendouzi, let's cash in on him, let's get the money, and we will be off and we'll be having a good time. But Barca, whom he wanted to join, are not interested in buying him because obviously he's just still young and he has a long way to go and he has to prove himself a bit more. And Atletico Madrid will not take him because he does not fit Simeone's plans. One more thing is there.
Yeah.
What they have realized is if Torreira and Zak are there and they're not leaving, and even if Guendouzi is not being sold, I think they are not that much focused on getting a defensive midfielder as much as they are focused on getting a creative one. So if you see, the Coutinho deal is more of a priority rather than getting the defensive midfielder, because Zaka is there. If Torreira isn't being sold because no other club is currently signing him, and if Guendouzi is also staying, I think with Ceballos coming in on another loan, which has been confirmed for one more season. I think they are planning to stick to that midfield. If the party deal happens, then great. If it doesn't happen, they may get in someone else and get Coutinho instead.
I mean, thing is, I've just seen a comment from Omar. He said he doesn't think the party deal will happen because we won't pay up. And why would he leave Champions League to join no European Arsenal? Well, listen, it's too early to say because we still could be in the Europa League. So it's too early to say. And listen, Partey wants to come. Partey wants to come. He's openly said that he wants to join Arsenal. He wants a deal to be happen. So that's half the battle. It's just whether Arsenal and listen, this is where I will question them. It's just whether they will go back in with the money because they can afford it. I don't buy all this. Oh, we can't afford it. We haven't got the money. We can afford it. We absolutely can afford it. If they listen up, it's weird, right? Because there's people saying that, oh, we can't afford Thomas Partey. And then you look at the other reports saying we're meant to be splashing 40 million on this guy from Sporting Lisbon. And this is
John Fernandez, yeah.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying to you. There's so much bollocks. And if that was true, why would, how can we not afford Partey, but we can afford this geezer from Sporting Lisbon who is pretty much the same amount of money?
It's lazy journalism. That's what it is. It's these stupid, lazy journalists, and I don't even call them journalists anymore. I mean, listen. What does it take to be a journalist today? You just write something on a website, and you're a journalist. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, and they get all the clicks. It's all clickbaits, and and people spread it around, and people think it's true. I mean, people actually believe that Arsenal don't have money. We've got one. We're one of the richest clubs in the world. I mean, we're about close to top 10. In the value table, and so to say that we don't have money just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Of course, we've got money. It's just like I said. It's just the way we spend it, and that's what bothers me and a lot of other fans is we just mess around so much with this money. It's why, I mean, of course, we know that the deals are not, it's not like Monopoly and Football Manager and, and FIFA, and you just go, oh, here's 60 million in one lump, there you go. Of course, it's all structured and it's like your mortgage. You don't pay 500 grand mortgage on your house at one go, do you? You pay it in installments. That's the way it's done. That's the way business is done. So you don't have to lose all your money at once, and you can actually create assets and build up assets. But the thing is, there's a way of doing things. And you look at Chelsea; they're not different from us. They structure their deals the same way, but they don't mess around. They go to a club and say, okay, we want Thomas Werner. So they go to RB Leipzig and they say, okay, we want Thomas Werner. How much do you want for him? And they say, okay, we want 80 million. And they say, we'll give you 60. And they say, okay, 60, that's it. And it's done. It's a done deal. Whereas if it was Arsenal, we go to RB Leipzig and then they say, yeah, we want 80. We say, we'll give you 35, maybe 36. And then we'll go backwards and forwards the whole transfer window. And on the last day, we'll say, okay, we'll give you 50. And maybe they'll go for it, and most likely not. It's that messing around that we do that's just so stupid because we're trying to save money. Whereas if we just put in that little bit extra, at the end of the day, you're going to get it back by actually having the player, improving the club. And as we know, as you see with the clubs, when you win things, you improve and increase the stature and value of the club. Through not just prize winning and TV money and all that, but it's just more merchandise, global. It's your fan base grows with all that entails, and it's all sponsored. You get better sponsorship deals. All of a sudden, we can get more money from Emirates, or maybe even go to an even bigger sponsor. That's what happens. You generate money in football by winning things. So just haggling over 10 million or 5 million. At the end of the day, is detrimental. It's actually worse for you than than trying to make it look like you're saving money. You're not. You're not saving money. You're losing that money. That's what you're doing. So it just to me, it's just so ridiculous that we can be this bigger club as we are in world football and just mess around with the money like we do. That's what gets to me, is the way we just mess around with it, you know.
And you have the Thomas Party hangover. You were saying Thomas Werner for Timo Werner.
Sorry, yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, this Thomas Party thing is in my head. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Sorry, Timo Werner. Yeah.
Timo
Party and Thomas Werner. Yeah. But you guys know what I mean. I mean, look at Chelsea. They don't mess around. Ziyech got him. Werner got him. Looks like they've also got a deal in place now for Havertz. They've bid money now. They're negotiating.
I'll tell you what, they're looking at trying to.
I hope they don't get all black, because if they get all black, they're just going to be an incredible team. But they just don't mess around. The same with Real Madrid. Real Madrid, like, okay, we want the biggest players in the world. They just go and buy them. They don't pay everything at once. It's all structured. It's all paid in installments. But it's the negotiating. It's okay. We agree on the fee, and we get it done. You know, whereas Arsenal, like, we don't really want to do this. Hang on, we'll call you back next week. That's what Arsenal do. We'll call you back next week, okay? And then if next week is, you know.
The problem this summer is we are linked with all players who have release clauses. So we don't have that luxury this season. If you see, Thomas Partey has a release clause. Max Aarons has a release clause. Some of the other guys, the one that you were talking about, the Sporting guy, Joel Fernandes, he may be one of the players who does not have a release clause. So they must have flown there to probably negotiate some kind of payment system that they did with Pepe. And if you remember, I don't know whether that was an actual story or a joke. People were posting that the owner of Lille is calling Arsenal representatives and asking them for the remaining payment for Pepe.
Well, we're probably not paying on time and things like that. Of course, this is typical. You know, it's very typical for clubs to not to pay on time and things like that. But the thing is, just to finish my point, was that, you know, it's just the way we mess around with these things, and it's like, you know, yes, a release clause. We've got to actually get an agreement with the club. You've got to pay them, and I think you've actually got to pay them. You know, you got to pay them up front for that money for the release clause, or at least get some kind of huge down payment in place for them to agree to it, because you have to trigger the release clause. And it's like it says, we can actually get some really good players now on trigger release clauses. We've got Partey. There's that Sarr, who also looks interesting. He's on a release clause as well. Aaron's on a release clause. You know, there's three good players there we could get on release clauses. You know, so we'll see what happens.
You know, it don't make sense though. Arsenal don't make sense because they always like a deal on the cheap, right? We know that they like the cheapest deal. And Sam, I want to pick up on your point when you said about that Chelsea got Hakim Ziyech. His release clause was 35 million or something stupid like that. He was valued at, and yet Arsenal just passed him by and didn't even look at him. And he was another player that openly said, "I only want to join Arsenal," but because Arsenal didn't go in for him, he obviously waited, and then Chelsea come in for him, and he wanted that big move. And I'm just sat there thinking, okay, you know that guy is quality, and he is quality. He scores goals. He is what we needed, and he's probably in our price range, which was 35 million cheaper than Pepe, but yet you pass him by, and I don't get that. I don't get that thought process. You know, you'd think a cheap deal like that, you would. If I was the board, right, and I was doing the business and I was looking at cheap deals and I was trying to get cheapest deals, I'd look at him and go, do you know what? He's right in our price range. Let's go get him. But yet they opted for the more expensive deal in Pepe, and yet they bang on about
they thought
to save money, and
they thought, you know, and I must say, I mean, I know not everyone agrees, but I could see that they were. I think everyone was sort of like, how should I say this? I think everyone was sort of like a bit bedazzled by Pepe, because he had an awesome season last season in Ligue 1, and he was a big prospect. I mean, a big prospect from the French league, probably their best winger they've had coming out of the French league for many years. He scored a lot of goals. He's played, quite a few really good games. And I think when Raul and his team realised that they could actually get an agreement with Lille for him, they sort of decided, okay, why should we pay the 50 million or 60 million or whatever it is roughly that Crystal Palace wanted for Zaha, when we're looking at Pepe, what he can do, which is at the moment looking a lot better. Yes, okay, Zaha is Premier League proven. Yes, used to the Premier League, but Pepe, on at least on looking at it from an objective point of view, looked a lot better. Looked like a much better player, and everyone was thinking, no, we can't get Pepe because he's too expensive. He's too good for us. Everybody thought, he's going to, like you said, everyone thought, he's going to Barcelona or Bayern Munich or one of those clubs. They're going to pick him up because he's that good. And it was us who ended up getting him, and we got really psyched, and we were like, wow, with Pepe, this is it. We're going to drive into the top four, and then of course it didn't happen. But Pepe was a big surprise. But again, it happened because Raul and his team managed to negotiate with Lille that structured deal where we are going to pay over 10 installments or something like that, which is not really that common. So it was a matter of them agreeing to do that. But yeah, I mean, football is like that now. You pay in installments, but at the end of the day, it's about, like I said, a couple of times now, you've got to agree on a price and you've got to agree on what you're going to pay and how you're going to pay it. And teams like Chelsea, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, they don't mess around. They just do it. They say, okay, let's do it. Let's get these players in. We want him. Let's get him. Let's do it. And Arsenal, we're just messing around. We'll still be dragging our feet until the end of the transfer window. Right up until October, we'll be dragging our feet. We still won't know what will be happening. We'll still be up in the air as to who we're going to bring in. We might have sold a couple of players by then, got rid of a couple of players, but we'll still be I guarantee you, we'll still be messing around, dragging our feet on a couple of players we want to bring in, and we'll see who we bring in. And it's going to happen the last few days, if not the last day of the transfer window, as it always does. And it's completely ridiculous. There's no reason for it. They could go out there tomorrow now or next week while we're not playing football after the FA Cup. Get the FA Cup out of the way, the FA Cup final out of the way. And there's no football. We'll actually have a break. Spend that time and go and just get a few deals done. Get it done. Mess around all summer. It just makes no sense.
The thing with Partey as well, that's going to drag on right to the end of the window simply because Atletico are still in the Champions League. So their season's not done yet in terms of they've still got football to play. So
yeah, I've got to wait till they finish their league. Yeah.
Even I read for a few players that till the Champions League is done, there will be no deals for them, including Partey and one or two more players.
Why wouldn't there be any deals?
Because these players want to stay with the club, and like you have seen how things have happened with some of the players, like Werner isn't playing for Leipzig anymore, and the clubs aren't talking and negotiating at the moment, like they would have probably done if there was no Champions League football, when they were totally done with the season.
They have to wait until the season's completed. Yeah, of course. The Champions League has to finish first. But what I'm saying is, as soon as the Champions League is finished, we should get right in there and get these deals done, while there's no football, instead of waiting with the season's going to start again the 12th of September. The season starts again. That's not too long off. And then the transfer window closes. What is it? The 1st of October? They're going to close it. So, the 6th of October? Okay. They're going to close it the 6th. So, we're going to be messing around until the 5th and 6th of October.
Yeah, and 10 days, I think additional 10 or 12 days additional, the local window will be there, the English window. But just 2 points I want to quickly make. One thing, if these guys knew that Ziyech had already signed for Chelsea, they should have probably tried for Sane. They could have tried for him. He's also a good player. I don't know whether we would have been able to beat Bayern Munich or not, but I think we had a good chance of trying to convince him. And the second thing is, every time you say that additional 5 million or 6 million, I remember the Kante deal.
But Arsenal
ridiculous.
wasn't. Arsenal were linked with Ziyech way before Chelsea. So Chelsea were linked with Ziyech in the January window, which is when they reached an agreement. Whereas we were linked with Ziyech last summer. I remember at the beginning of last summer, we were heavily linked with him.
Yeah.
And because we were linked with him, we were linked with Ryan Fraser. We were linked.
But I bet you it's also a matter of fact that the player. I mean, the player has something to say as well, and his team. And I'm pretty sure with Ziyech, because Ziyech just said, "Listen, I don't want to go to Arsenal." He's probably said he wants to go to Chelsea.
No, he come out and said he wants to. He said come out and said that the only club he would join in England is Arsenal, and he's waiting.
Well, we saw that, didn't we? He went and joined Chelsea.
Well, yeah, because Arsenal, because he said at the time, and I remember this, he said that if Arsenal come calling, I'm going. But he said I'm not gonna put my career on hold forever. We didn't go for it. We didn't.
We didn't go for Rudiger, which I don't know is a mixed bag right now based on his performance this season. We didn't go for Sissoko. We didn't go for Ziyech. We don't go for players. We didn't go for Fabregas. We don't go for players who want to come to Arsenal, and then we complain there is no team spirit and there is no fighting spirit and no one plays for the badge.
Yeah, we end up getting a mess. Just a mess.
Yeah. But see, the thing is, right, and it's so easy. It's so easy to like. We've got a massive window, because if we don't get this right, and this is what the club need to realize, which they don't realize. So they're obviously running it as a business. It's clear to see that they want to keep the money and make as much money. But what they fail to realize, and it should have been a wake-up call when it came out that we had, on a match day revenue, had lost 32 million each day on the match day revenue. We were down by 30 odd million from the previous season. And it was because fans were getting tired of seeing the same shit. Obviously now we're down 100% because obviously fans can't go.
Oh.
But when fans do come back, and that is going to be probably around October time, which is what they're looking at, that our fans going to want to go, because you're going to get your diehard fans that go, like your season ticket holders that do turn up. But our fans going to want to go, because when you see all this shit happening, I've seen a lot of people, and I've seen in a lot of groups, a lot of people are getting fed up, and I've seen a lot of people saying, well, I ain't renewing my season ticket this year. I'm not renewing my season ticket this year because it's the same shit. So I've seen a lot of people prepared to give up their season ticket off the basis of the fact that we're not progressing as a club. So as the club have got to realise that if they don't get it right, they're going to lose a hell of a lot more money. And they need to realise that they spend the money now. Yes, it's going to be a short-term hit. It is going to be a massive dent short-term. But long-term, they're always banging on about, and I see Raul banging on, and Edu and Arteta banging on about, oh, we need short-term projects and long-term projects. Well, I think the short-term project should be splash the money, because, you're going to take the hit, but in long-term, you're going to make more money, because the better competition we're in, the higher up the table we are, the more appealing Arsenal's going to become. The more players are going to want to come, the more trophies we win. You generate money from winning trophies. You generate money from being in Champions League. The more that happens, the more it's going to benefit us. But the more we tread water, the more we keep sliding down the table. And this is either going to go one of two ways, because this is our worst season. We're finished, 8th is our worst season. So either it's going to wake the club up and they're going to go, holy shit, Jesus Christ, we need to actually do something here and fix this mess quickly. Or they're going to sit back and go, fuck it, and we're just going to keep going on the decline, and then it's just going to end up a right old mess. So they need to decide, are they going to bridge that gap? Now, I do believe that that we have got a decent manager in Arteta. Listen, I don't want to get into the whole Arteta debate, but I do believe like he knows what he wants, and it's just whether they're going to give it to him.
I feel that if we don't sign 5 to 6 players in this summer transfer window, we are going to have our worst season of the decade or the century next one, because it's going to be so hectic. This season we are still lucky that we were out of the League Cup. We were already out of the Europa League, but in the upcoming season, with the Euros coming up and then another season and then the World Cup, it's going to be way more hectic than what it was. And there was a poll, I think, in Apollo's group that was asking that where do you think Arsenal will finish in the upcoming season. I feel we'll finish around the same place where we are right now, unless we sign around 5 to 6 players.
Yeah,
which we have to plan for the long term.
And Grant McRoberts said in the comments that Ziyech wanted Arsenal, but because Ziyech was in that same position as Ozil, that's why they didn't get him. Yeah, and that's why we missed out on Fabregas, because everybody put too much fucking thing into Ozil. And now look at that. Sam, you put out a tweet earlier. I saw it. Your tweet about Ozil saying that it's frustrating because he's the highest paid player at the club, and Arteta doesn't want him. But fans are blaming Arteta for leaving him out the side or something. Do you remember your tweet that you put out? I saw that.
Yeah.
And you summed it up brilliantly.
There's fans that want him on the bench because he's our highest paid player. But what's the point of that? I mean, Arteta doesn't want him. And what's he going to... He hasn't played football for 5 months now. What's he going to do? I mean, what do people... I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just this whole Ozil thing is just a complete... It's like some kind of psychosis, that people just can't... It's Ozil. He's not Ozil. He was Ozil 3 years ago. The guy we got now that just sucks his thumb, plays Fortnite, and he can't even be bothered in training. That's why Arteta doesn't want him on the bench. He just can't be bothered. And if he loved football and wanted to play football, then why doesn't he fuck off to Fenerbahce, who want to pay him less and want him to play football for them? But he doesn't want to go because he wants his £350,000. So that's it. His heart is no longer in football. That's the end. That's the be all and end of it all with Ozil. The guy's finished, completely finished.
He is finished.
And the quicker we get rid of him, if I was in charge of Arsenal, I would pay out his contract. Say, okay, we made a huge mistake. Sorry, here's your last year of your contract, your fee. Goodbye. There's a plane ticket to Istanbul. Goodbye. And just get rid of him, and then we can move forwards, because him being at the club in this situation is just causing so much, noise that we don't need. We need to, like Nitesh says, he's correct. We need at least 4 to 5 players, I would say, quality players to come in the positions we need if we're going to move up the table. Because without that, we're not going to. Because look at the clubs around us and what they've done. There's no way we're going to move up the table unless we really improve our squad and our team. I do believe Arteta wants to do that. I do believe Arteta has a list of players he wants to bring in. And now, like you say, it's a huge summer, because now we've got to do it. We've got to get Raul and the team to do it, to bring those guys in with the budget we have. We obviously have some kind of budget that we're operating with, and we have to do it. And we've got enough players we can sell to get that done, and still have a decent enough size squad with good players to do it. And it just has to be done in the right way. It just has to be done in a professional way, and have to show the ambition that they want to do this. Like you say, if you want the fans to fill up Emirates Stadium again, we need to show the ambition and should bring in the players that shows the fans that we want to get there. We want to get the top 4.
And that's the thing. That's the thing, right? That's the thing, Sam. And sorry, Nitesh, I'll come to you in just a second. That's the thing, though, Sam, is that we need, they do need to back Arteta, and like I said, that the summer I feel like that Arteta's safe at the moment because you see the noise is now going towards now that the season's finished, all but one game. Okay, forget the FA Cup because listen, it's a one-off game. We can probably win. We could probably win that. But now that the season's finished, it's not. A lot of people criticised Arteta for his team tactics and stuff on the pitch. Now that's all done and dusted. Everybody is turning our attention to the board because they, even sort of in the last couple of games, even Arteta in press conferences was having little digs at the board, going, "Well, I'm not sure what I'm going to get this summer. I know what I'd like, I know what I want, but whether I'm going to get it," which kind of basically saying, "I know what I want, so it's up to you to give it to me." And then you've got the fans, you've got the plane going over Villa Park. So I do feel that pressure is mounting on the board, and
Arteta's said some things as well, hasn't he? Which has been very good.
Yeah,
I thought Arteta's been very good at actually.
That's
He's been insinuating, hasn't he, that he needs the money. So it'd be very good.
Yes.
I like what Arteta's been saying, definitely.
Which is good because no manager's ever said that. We had Arsene Wenger who was going, "Oh, we'll see what happens. We'll see what," which was basically feeding us bollocks. We had Unai Emery that couldn't even say good evening properly. So, do you know what I mean?
Poor guy. He's never going to live that down, is he? He's never going to live that down.
And now we've got Arteta, who is actually straight to the point.
Yeah.
But you noticed with Arteta, and I noticed this with Arteta, that when he was saying that stuff, you could tell that his strategy was he wasn't outwardly criticising the board, but you could tell that what he was saying was his way of, and he was, in my opinion, that's smart because he's saying it in a public press conference where he knows that it's going to get millions of.
That's the way he's communicating with him. That's the way he's communicating with him, isn't he?
Yeah, rather than keeping the conversations private and going, "I need this," he's going, "Well, actually, do you know what? If I do this and say this, so it gets out into the public and to the media, then it's up to the board to act." Because all
puts pressure on them. It puts pressure on them.
All while it's kept private, the board are just going to go, "Oh, well, we like to do things this way. We like to do." So now it's actually happened, and I find it funny that after I reckon, and this is just my surmise. This is what I'm surmising. I reckon after that play at Villa Park, and he was asked about it. And then in the next press conference after that, they asked him again, and he said, "Oh, I've had a conversation with the board, and they're backing me." So I reckon conversations were had in between those two press conferences, because did you notice that his thing changed? It went from, "Oh, we'll wait and see," to, "Oh, well, the board are backing me. They want to give me what So it's just, now it's up to them to actually go and do it. That's
saying it publicly like that, it puts pressure on them because now Arteta is actually putting the pressure on them to deliver. That's what they have to do now.
Yeah, I think that's good. And I actually do think as well. Just before I come to you, Nitesh, I do actually think that we should be getting rid of some players before we sign, because if we haven't got the money, as they say, and I know, we've got to add to the squad that we've got but I think we should get rid of some of these players to generate the funds to go and get the players we want. And and I think the first thing what we should be doing above all of that is getting Aubameyang's contract signed. Now I don't know whether I'm confident or not whether he's going to sign. I mean, the signs are sort of hinting towards that he could sign. Did you see that thing as well? I saw that thing going around where supposedly he had walked off the training pitch and mimicked signing a contract, and it went flipping ballistic. I saw it go up on on Facebook, and everyone's going, oh, look, Aubameyang's going to sign a contract because he walked off the training pitch and he mimicked signing a contract. It's like, really? What a fucking...
rubbish.
Yeah, it is. It's... Go on,
That's it is. Yeah. It is.
Yeah, so what I was saying is, I think the board had promised Arteta some things, and at the end, when the season was about to end, they must have turned their back on him or something like that, and then he has no option, and to come out in the presser and give some kind of hints that the first thing he said is, when he was asked, he said, "I don't know. Will there be monetary problems?" He said yes. He said all those things. Then probably he must have had some convincing behind the scenes. But then at the end of the day, the way he has started off, I don't think they are going to give him what he wants. And I get the feeling that probably at the end of this year, he will probably leave the club himself, because I don't think they're going to get in 5 or 6 players. And the way, if you have seen in the short span of time, the number of injuries that he has had in half a season, if that happens in the upcoming season with all the fixtures which are more tightly scheduled, and also the other thing that we won't be getting that 2 month break that we used to have, and so I think there might be a lot more injuries. So unless we get 5 or 6 players, he will struggle more than what he struggled in this 6 month period. And the problem now was, initially everyone thought that we'll sell Guendouzi, we'll sell Torreira, then we get Thomas Partey, then we probably try for Upamecano, who signed a new deal already. We are not able to sell our own players because we are not in anywhere in the top six. We are at 8th place. So which club will go by our demands of any transfer fee that we try to ask them? Like, we are trying to give Barca Guendouzi for Coutinho. They don't want the guy because we are trying to get rid of too much of a value of Coutinho by giving them Guendouzi. It's not that Guendouzi is just a very poor player, but the thing is, if the club that wants to sell Coutinho to us values Guendouzi at 20 million, Arsenal is trying to make his value look like 30 or 40 million. So Barca is not going to have any of it. Atletico Madrid won't do the same thing with Lacazette as well. And that is why our negotiation power is absolutely crap. That is why, if you remember that day when we were talking about the Ramsey scene and the other players that we have tried to sign, and I was trying to tell you, I would rather take swap deals where these guys have nothing in hand. They don't have any power to do anything with the money that comes in. It's a direct swap, and maybe some funds going along with that, so that they are not in power to spend the money and get players like Pepe who may not work out. Instead, we get a player, ready-made player. If things work out, then great. Otherwise, we just sell him off. Giving these guys money in hand is actually a more of a threat, because they have, with the kind of deal that they did for Pepe for 72 million, and they let Ziyech go. Now, if they probably would have gotten Ziyech, no one would be complaining so much, because he would have been like 35, 40 odd million. But you spend 72 odd million on a player who has delivered decently, but because of his price tag, people will keep criticizing him, because we spent 72 million where we could have gotten 2 or 3 players instead. So that is the problem. These guys go for the expensive players, but they are not sure whether these players will perform or not. With respect to Zaha, a lot of people felt that maybe he's Premier League proven, so he can do better than Pepe, but they went for the other option. And they did the same thing with Torreira as well. Torreira has been better than Nzonzi, probably. I don't know how Nzonzi would have been. They went for him because he was younger, but now 1 season later, Emery is gone and Torreira also wanted to go. So these guys don't plan for the long term. They just think that age and resale value is a much bigger factor than what the player can actually bring to the club. They always focus on the resale value and the age of the player more than other attributes that he or she can bring to the club.
Yeah. Yeah, of course they look at resale value. That's what they want to do. You know, they want to potentially make some money back, or even make a profit on a player that has improved. But yeah, I mean, we know that for a long time, Arsenal, our recruitment has been poor. You know, we don't buy the right players. You know that we should be buying. We buy the players who don't perform as well, and on top of that, they're the players that cost more at the end of the day. You know, like you said, Pepe, probably. I think if we would have got Zaha instead, we would have probably seen more out of Zaha for Arsenal than Pepe this season, and Zaha would have cost a lot less. Same maybe with Ziyech. You know, we would have probably seen a lot more from him maybe than Pepe.
Two
You
things:
know,
Zaha would have cost more than Pepe. They were Crystal Palace wanted around 90 million or so, and the
no,
second
wasn't it
thing
about
is
50? Wasn't it about 50 million? Everyone's
no,
laughing at 50 million, wasn't it?
No,
There's
so
no, no.
Zaha, they wanted 90 million.
Yeah,
90 million.
90
Oh,
million.
Jesus Christ! Yeah, well,
Yeah,
and yeah, the
that's
other
why
thing is
that's why they went for Pepe, because they could
yeah.
yeah,
get, and
Okay,
also
well
they
then, yeah, it makes
wanted,
more sense.
yeah, they wanted the 90 million up front as well. They didn't want to do
yeah,
structured.
Yeah, that's another thing. But at the
and
end of the day, we would have probably seen more out of Zaha than what Pepe's done this season, to be honest. But at the end of the day, you know, it's easy to look back in hindsight, isn't it? I mean, maybe Pepe could have been brilliant for us, but he hasn't. So
yeah, the problem was with Zaha. Chelsea also wanted him. Arsenal also wanted him. So it started off with around 60 million. It went to 80, then it went to 90, and the price
mm,
kept going up. The other thing was, but probably 90 would have sealed it. One more thing is there that I had suggested we should have gone for neither and gone for maybe two or three players. And I suggest the same thing this time as well. Get four or five free transfer quality players that we already know are Premier League proven. We have three or four players from Norwich. We have two to three players at least, or three or four players from Watford. We have one or two players minimum from Bournemouth. We should go for these players, and probably I will still stick to my fact that I want Willian at Arsenal. I would take him rather than getting some of the other players. If a Coutinho comes in, you give him 250k a week, and he does not perform, you are stuck with him.
Yeah,
But
mm.
if a Willian does not perform, you don't have to pay him 250k. Second thing is he's a free transfer. You're not spending a single penny on him. And if you feel that he does not perform, you just sell him off at the end of one
what
season.
what about so what I'll do now is I'll go for a couple of players and just tell me each of you whether you would take them. So another player we've been linked with is Decore from Watford.
I would take him over Thomas Partey because Thomas Partey has not played in the Premier League. Dakure has. He is used to
Mm.
playing. He's used to playing in front of a defensive line that can go haywire at any point of time. If you remembered, Watford was also struggling with relegation problems. So I think we got if we get Dakure, I don't mind. I don't need a party. I would be happy with Dakure, and we need an creative midfielder or two. Two creative midfielders would also be the order of the day. Get Dakure in. He's going to be very cheap because Watford is relegated. And instead of having a release clause, if you are so obsessed with paying in parts, you can pay in parts to Watford. They won't say no as well because if they get a decent amount, 2-3 million extra, they will take it. They're already relegated.
I
And
agree. I think we need to look at Premier League proven players. I think we need to
Yeah,
you know look at
not Jack,
players.
not Jack
Yeah,
Grealish, because
we
listen,
need
no,
to
we
definitely
ain't
not.
getting Grealish.
we need to look at Premier League proven players so we can remove that, are they going to work in the Premier League or not factor. Because if you're playing 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 million on a player and you don't even know if he's going to work in the Premier League, it's a big gamble to take when we know there are players who are maybe just as good, maybe, or close to just as good, who have already played in the Premier League, like Decore. Now, Partey, you could say objectively, looks like a slightly better player, but we don't know how he's going to be in the Premier League. He could be great, he could be a flop. With Decore, we've seen he's played well for Watford. I'm sure at Arsenal he could become an even better player. Well, that's the logical way of thinking anyway, because with a better club and a bigger club, he should step up and improve, and and he's already been in the Premier League, so he should do a better job for us. And I would rather spend that money then on Decore than Partey, to be honest. I really would. And there are several other players as well, from Norwich and Bournemouth. And it's just right that there's actually 4 or 5 decent players in those relegation clubs that we could go and buy for relatively small amounts of money, because now they're worth a lot less going down than they were in the Premier League. So, there's a lot of good business there to be had. And, if we're supposed to be this good, shrewd business club with Raul and Edu and that guy begins with V, I can never remember his name. But, Vinay, yeah, I know, it's got a long, weird name. Anyway, him, they're supposed to be...
The one who's Gazidis' love child. Jesus.
Yeah, anyway, they're supposed to be these shrewd businessmen, and surely it's more shrewd to to get from those teams and pay less and get proven players who would. I mean, come on, we know these players would improve our team. And Ake would improve our defence. Doucouré would improve. Yeah, I know, but if we could get hold of him, he could improve our team. Doucouré could improve our midfield. Cantwell could improve our midfield. We could bring in.
Bring in Fraser.
Fraser, I think Fraser would improve our midfield. He's a workhorse and he can create as well. These are all players I think we could actually improve our squad with. And we should start looking in those directions.
I'll say one thing. City is actually missing a trick here. Ake, since he got that, I think Achilles problem, he's very injury prone. He's going to be John Stones 2.0 once he's at City. So I think the actual centre back that if we want to sign is we should sign Godfrey from Norwich. He's way better. He's looking way better and injury free than what Ake is. Ake is a good player, but the problem is his injuries. If he comes to Arsenal, he may end up being injured for 3 to 4 months at least. So I would prefer to get Godfrey from Norwich rather than getting Ake. And I don't mind if City take him. There is no problem. But why are we being linked to John Stones? I don't understand that stupid rumor. Why do we want John Stones when we are trying to upgrade our defense and City's defense isn't as bad as
us? Typical. It's a typical. I've seen
that Chelsea are linked to John Stones as well.
But the thing is, listen. I'm not saying John Stones. John Stones was at one time a very promising player. He hasn't been great as of late. But listen, we were laughing at Johnny Evans, right? We were laughing at Cahill. They've both had good seasons.
I wasn't. I wanted Cahill at Arsenal. They took David Luiz instead.
I mean, both Cahill and Evans would have both got in straight into our central defence this season.
Yeah, I wanted Cahill, but then they went for David Luiz, and Cahill was kind of losing his pace. But as a centre back, you don't need too much pace. And if you are going to anyways go for David Luiz, you could have anyways gone for Cahill. What was the problem there? Same thing with John. Yeah,
David Luiz. I mean, I didn't really want him. I mean, I understood why we got him because there was all these factors behind it. But the guy was in defence for the biggest Brazilian defeat in history, and he has these clown, things in him, and he's done it again this season several times. He's let us down. We should never have bought Luiz. If
they wanted to, they should have gone for Soyuncu, who went to.
Soyuncu was another player we thought wasn't good enough for us because he's not good enough for us. But he's been brilliant. He's a great player.
He's been brilliant. But the thing is with Luiz, and a lot of people are moaning that we signed him to an extension. Now, I have a theory on why we signed him to an extension. Yes, he's probably going to play a few games. He's not going to be first choice because when Pablo Mari come back and then obviously we've got Saliba, I think they'll be potentially our first choice if we don't get anybody else. But now that Squadron is out injured, that Arteta sort of hinted that he wants another centre back. Which is obviously we need another centre back anyway. But I think Mari and Saliba will probably be the first two. But yeah, I think Luiz was signed because we have a lot of young players in our team, and whether or not you agree that he does it on the pitch, and yes, he does make a lot of mistakes, but he has come from quite a good, he's got quite a good wealth of experience when it comes to winning titles and winning things because he was,
I think we got him because it was convenient. It was easy and it was convenient. We needed someone there. We needed someone there at the end. We needed someone there sort of at the last minute. We were like, okay, we need a bit of extra cover. And it was just convenient to get him, because of the ties with Edu and roll and all of that.
Do you not agree that he's a good leader in the dressing room? Yes, he makes rash decisions.
I don't care. I don't care if someone's a good leader or not. If they clown around and fucking they don't know what they're doing in defence, I don't care if they're a good leader, because the first thing you got to do in defence is to be a good defender. Then if you're a good leader, that comes on top of that, and that's a bonus. But for me, I'd rather have someone who could defend than someone who's good at shouting, but he can't fucking put his leg through a ball and just is always out of position. So, for me, Luis, he's not where we should be. This club should be going. We should be getting rid of Luis, in my opinion. We should bring in someone better or go for. Well, we won't be playing with Luis if, like you say, if we're going to go with a 4 at the back. I don't know, because there's a lot of talk now that next season he's going to try a 4-3-3.
Sorry,
again.
Hold on one sec. Sorry, Sam, to interrupt you. Grant, can I ask you a question, mate? Do you actually like anything about Arsenal at the moment? Is there anything you do like? Because I've seen you in the chat and you've just been putting all this shit about being negative. Is there anything you are positive about? I know the weather shit up there in Scotland, but come on, Jesus Christ.
I'm just saying, if we're going back to a back 4, it's going to be Mari and Holding or Mustafi, most likely. I think Mari is going to get the first spot together with either Holding or Mustafi. And then if we go to a back 3, then it's going to, I don't think Luis is going to be in there either. It's going to be Mari, Holding, and Mustafi. So, Luis, we've got to move away from Luis. He's just not good enough. I mean, yes, he has slightly improved, maybe 5% with Arteta, but it's that 1 step forward, 2 step back thing with him. You're just waiting for him to mess up, and he's done that several times this season. So no, we've got to forget about him and just move on and get rid of him. Hopefully we can. We probably won't, but that's what I want to happen. I just want to say big up to everyone in the chat. I want to say
big up Dan T.
I just want to say to Steve, the Arsenal mystery, he says the Seagulls here where I live could get into Arsenal's defence. They probably could, mate. I tell you what, they probably could. And they shout better than the people in defence at Arsenal's defence anyway. They like to have a little shout around here, yeah. But yeah, it's a funny one.
Yeah.
Big up everyone in the chat. Got loads of people in the chat making a lot of good points.
And
I think Luis was signed just to get rid of Xhaka from the team. He would play those long balls and those through passes, and we would get in Torreira and probably Ceballos in midfield. That was the plan, to get in Luis, who can replicate what Xhaka does a bit in midfield, because obviously he can't stop the players that are coming through. So they were expecting that Luis will do that, but eventually things did not work out for him. And if you see, under Unai Emery, there were a lot of problems, not just the Luis problem, but there were more problems as well. So that did not work out perfectly. But then eventually, why Arteta has extended his contract now is because, as I said again, if we are playing from the back, we need a defender who can play from the back. Socrates couldn't do it. Mustafi can't do it. Rob Holding can't do it. The only person who can probably do it is David Luiz right now. He plays around with Martinez. He was probably playing it fine with even with Leno. So these players, other defenders, can't do play from the back. So that is why even Arteta knows that, and he will probably even play Luis in the upcoming season. He's probably going to stick to the 3-4-3 and start with Luis. The other players, I don't think he'll initially start with Pablo Mari. Chambers is already injured for some time. Kolasinac will probably be gone. So I think it will be Luis, Mustafi, and probably one of the other guys. Maybe if Holding plays center, he may play Luis on the left. Or if Pablo Mari plays center, he may play Luis on the left, or Luis at the center and Pablo Mari on the left. So something like that will be the combination. Saliba, I don't think will be getting into the team directly. He will be taking some time. And I don't think Arteta will rush Saliba into the first team. He may take some time, and eventually at the end of next season, Luis will be gone for sure. There is no doubt about it. This is just going to be a 1-year extension. It's not going to be extended again. But till the time Saliba is totally into the team and into the groove, that is one more season. Luis is going to play, and Saliba is going to keep filling in between till he's ready to take over and for the Premier League and the pace of the Premier League, or unless there are some injuries.
Okay, so Grant, obviously you said there's nothing positive about the club. What's there to be positive about? It's the same old crap. So listen, I take your point, but what about the emergence of Bukayo Saka and Martinelli? Is that not a positive thing? Anyway, that's all I'm going to say to you, because Jesus Christ, I've never seen so much negativity. Listen, the club's in a shit state. No one's denying that. But there have been positive things this season. You know, the season's been shit. Don't get me wrong. The season's been dreadful. But, you know, the emergence of Bukayo Saka and the emergence of Martinelli. Listen, those are two good prospects.
Yeah, there's some prospects. I think we've got, and according to that, I don't know how you pronounce his name. I think it's George or Jorge or something like that. Bird, the guy who really follows our youth setup really closely. He posts all the youth news, and he's regularly at all the games and all that. He's really close to our youth setup, and he basically posts about all the prospects coming through and everything. And he says that our current youth setup at the moment that we've got now, we've just brought in some new kids now in the summer. We're talking at the under 15 level. We've brought in some people from around the country as well now. And he's saying that the current group there now are looking really, really good. It's probably one of our best youth setups for a long, long time. So we've got, we've got some really good prospects coming through as well. And you've seen that with the likes of, I mean, of course that, some people like him, some people don't, but okay, you can't really doubt that Saka is a really huge talent who could be potentially really good for us. And then you've got the other players who are more sort of discussed, but they're still good prospects. As in, you got Reece Nelson, you got Willock, and then you've got also apparently Arteta really rates. I've been reading lately that Arteta really rates Emil Smith Rowe. That he's going to be Emil Smith Rowe is going to be a part of the first team setup now for next season. You can see him fitting in that pocket in behind the forwards, and he actually reminds him a lot of Kevin De Bruyne. I know. Listen, there's a long way between Emil Smith Rowe and Kevin De Bruyne. There's a long way between.
I'm glad you got that.
There's a long way between him and Kevin De Bruyne. But what I'm saying is the way he plays, the way he gets in between the lines, the way Kevin De Bruyne does, he has a lot of the same style. So we'll see. And he's improved a lot at Huddersfield, and and Arteta really likes him. It's gonna be good to see if he can improve now next season. And you look at the likes of him and other players been coming through now. We've got Medley is close to getting a chance in defence. Maybe less so now if we're going to bring in other defenders. But there's prospects coming through there, and now with these players behind, there's Balogun, there's Smith who's been on the bench now for Guendouzi. There's a lot of good players there coming through. So Arsenal, we've got some good prospects coming through. We'll see if maybe some of them can rise to the challenge. But to me, I think that part of it's exciting as well, seeing some of the youngsters come through and be a part of the club as well. And just one other thing, I just want to touch on Russ Morgan's point earlier. He was saying, wondering a bit what we think about the market now with the whole COVID situation, if that's going to affect it. And and everyone was thinking because of the lack of revenue and everything, and furloughing staff and all of this, there's going to be a huge impact on the transfer market. But so far, there doesn't look like there's much impact at all. You look at the fees Chelsea have been paying. Other clubs have been bidding, and now I just saw that Grealish is that Aston Villa want 80 million for Grealish. So
80 million, fuck's sake.
80 million for Grealish. So for me, the market at the moment doesn't look like it's really changed at all, which is quite interesting considering the impact COVID had on all the revenue and everything like that.
Yeah, I hope Manchester United can sign Sancho and Grealish, and then they can change their logo to a diving player. Probably a diving player in between.
So, Steve Wismart, the Arsenal Misfits, asking, what do we think about Manchester United coming after one of our goalkeepers?
I don't think so. Why will they want our goalkeeper when they have Henderson?
They should take Henderson.
Chelsea wants Henderson. Unless Chelsea signs Henderson, that is a different thing.
They don't have the balls with De Gea. That's the thing with De Gea. Solskjaer doesn't have the balls to drop him. He should be dropped. Bring in Henderson, drop De Gea, as, say sorry, you're on the bench, but it doesn't look like Solskjaer has the balls to do that.
Yeah, and the thing is, both teams have worst keepers, the worst keepers in the Premier League probably this season. But you know what the argument the United and Chelsea fans give? They say that Alisson has made more errors than Daya and David Daya and Kepa, which have led to goals. So they're more concerned about what Liverpool is doing rather than their own keepers.
Okay. But Henderson's a solid goalkeeper. If I was Solskjaer, I would say to De Gea, sorry, mate, you haven't been good enough. Henderson's going to get the starting role, and you're going to have to get it back off of him, or maybe sell on De Gea, because De Gea this season hasn't been good at all. He's been terrible the last 10 games.
The fax machine is working now.
The fax machine is working now all of a sudden. Yeah. Anyway, so the Henderson's been a class keeper, so they should use him. They've got a class keeper. They don't need Martinez or Leno. Leno wouldn't go to them anyway. So I might be worried about Martinez, because I think Martinez has shown himself to be a very, very, very good goalkeeper, and it's going to be difficult now. I don't think Arteta's gonna make him the number one goalkeeper next season. I think Leno's gonna get it back, even though I wouldn't really do that, but I think that's what's gonna happen. And then Martinez, then if he wants first team football, he's gonna have to move on. They're gonna have to sell him, and that's a bit of a shame for me, because I think he's a really good goalkeeper.
Ian Wright was worried that he may go to Chelsea.
Yeah, he might even go to Chelsea. I'd say Martinez has really stepped up.
Dante is just saying, why don't we play some of our youngsters? We've got nothing to lose. We're a mid-table team anyway.
I said this before. I said two things before. I said this once before, that we could have done this under Arteta, play all our youngsters, make them play. As it is, we didn't eventually challenge for anything. And the other thing was, I had said was, in a funny way, put the board on performance-based contracts, and then they will have to do something with the club. If the board is on performance-based contracts, then they need to get this shit sorted out. Otherwise, they're out.
True. That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
So the final player I want to talk about before we wrap up is Philip Coutinho. We've been linked with him. He's the other main person who we've been linked with. There have been lots of others, but listen, we'll save them for another show. But yeah, Philip Coutinho. So can you guys see this happening?
I think it's between us and a few other clubs. I do think because of that agent link, the agent that knows Raul very well is linked heavily to Arsenal because of him. Raul has a good relationship with that agent. So it's something that definitely could happen, but I'm reading today that they want something like 25 or 27 million as a loan fee.
Yeah.
They want 27 million as a loan fee. That is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, come on, 27 million. Anyway, yeah, if we could negotiate a decent loan fee, and I would have Coutinho, because Coutinho still has a lot to offer. He's had a decent season at Bayern. I don't think he suited the German football as much as he did in the Premier League. He was looking good for Liverpool before they sold him. I think Coutinho's got a lot to offer Arsenal. He's definitely a lot more creative and productive than the players we have at the moment. But at the end of the day, I think it depends on what Arteta wants to do formation-wise, because playing with a false nine, if we're going to be playing this 3-4-3 with a false nine, you don't really have that creative player there in the same way, unless you would like to use Coutinho maybe as a false nine, maybe. But it's interesting to see. But yeah, I would take Coutinho because he is that good. He's still got a lot to give. He's not old. He's not old yet. He's still got a lot to give. I think he wants to still prove himself. And I think on a loan, it makes a lot of sense to have him on his loan. To have him on a loan. We don't have to pay 100 million for him. Maybe just somewhere between 15 or 20, maybe to loan him. But I think he could do a lot for us.
Yeah, and you, Nitesh, would you take Coutinho?
I think I read that he's priced at around 40 or 45 million. That is what I read, and they don't want the Guendouzi deal. So that is what they want, the money, 40, 45 million. I think that is his pricing. But the thing is, how will he play a false nine if we are playing 3-4-3? I mean, who will be the actual striker then? If he's playing there, I mean, yeah. So someone else would be playing the false nine, and Coutinho would be playing as the striker then, because he will play from midfield. So the other thing, yeah, the other thing with respect to that is I think we don't need any more attacking players. If we need a creative midfielder, it can't be Coutinho because he's actually a number 10, and we aren't playing a formation which has a number 10. Even if we play 4-3-3, there won't be a number 10. So either we play him as a winger as Liverpool was doing, but then we have so many wingers in the team. And do we need another winger? Are we planning to get rid of Pepe? That is also another thing. If we don't rely on Pepe and then get in Coutinho, as I said before, I would rather take Willian. It is a deal that I see happening because of the contacts that Raul has and all the relation that he has with the Barcelona people. But is it a deal that I want right now based on the formation 3-4-3? I don't, because I don't think we have the formation that will suit him. And if that was the case, he would have succeeded at Barca as well, because they play a similar formation. They play the 4-3-3, and he does not like to play in that 3. He's a number 10 and he prefers to play in a number 10. With respect to
Yeah,
Bayern, he's doing decent, but whether he'll be back to his form in the Premier League, that is a huge risk. And if we, like Sam said, if you're paying 27 odd million for a loan deal, or if you're paying 45 million at a time when we don't have too much money, I would rather go for 3 or 4 free transfers and rely on them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
No, it makes more sense. If that's the money they want for him, 20 million plus just for a loan deal, I'd say no. Sorry, I'd rather spend that money on wages for free transfer players. Going for these other good free transfer players we could bring in for our team and use that on their signing on fees and wages, etc., and bring in 3-4 players for the same amount of money.
Yeah, and 20 million, 20 odd million would probably be the fee for 3 or 4 players for like 3 years. If we have to pay that money, 28,
Yeah,
27, 28 million. If we
yeah,
see the total amount of wages that we add up, probably we will be ending up paying for free transfers for maybe 2 to 3 years at least of a contract of those players
yeah.
that come on free transfers. So why would we pay that much money just because he was sold for 140 million?
No, it's just I was just reading today that the fee that they want is around 27 million, and I was just like, no way, that just doesn't sound right. But that's what I was reading today.
And again, one more thing, instead of paying 27 million for a loan deal, we would just pay the 45 odd million and buy him if we have to.
Well, they obviously think he's worth more than the 40 to 50, don't they? Obviously, if Grealish is 80, then you could say Coutinho is somewhere close to that. I don't know. So yeah.
I think Aston
yeah,
Villa is still having that hangover after they celebrated the fact that they didn't get relegated, and that is when they maybe made that call.
They just want because they're staying up in the Premier League and they know Grealish is an asset, right? So they're doing this. They just want to get as much as they can from him. They want to milk him for what he's worth. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah, the only
yeah,
one positive I just want to add about Coutinho is that he is ready to take a pay cut to come to Arsenal.
yeah. Listen, guys, I think we'll probably wrap up there. Thanks to everybody in the chat who's contributed.
Yeah, big
it's
up
been
everyone in the
great.
chat. A lot of
And,
good points there today.
Like I said, there is going to be. I'm going to do a couple of these. Obviously, I'm going to do these transfer shows regularly, along with obviously I'm going to try and do. I'm going to look at in these shows as well. I'm going to look at other clubs as well, just to because obviously there's a lot of other non-Arsenal fans in the chat as well. So I'm going to look at some other clubs' dealings, but mainly we're going to focus on Arsenal. But yeah, listen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around each of you in turn. So I'm going to start with Nitesh, just to give your platforms a shout out.
Thank you, Daniel. And yes, you guys can find me on Beyond the Post here, which is here, and on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. and we'll be doing a quiz competition which is happening on the 1st and 2nd August. Apart from the FA Cup time on the channel, it's something of an Rotract event kind of thing, and we are collaborating on that. So it's a quiz competition, and you guys can catch it on the channel as well. And apart from that, you can find me on Arsenal FC Fans, the Arsenal fan page on Facebook. Thank you.
Yeah, and Sam.
Yeah, thanks for having me on as usual, Daniel. It's been a pleasure. It's always good fun with Nitish as well. Big up everyone in the chat, all the regulars and some new ones as well. It's always good fun with everyone taking part with all the good points they make and everything. I've got a channel on here on YouTube called Sam Greenwood TV. Haven't been very active there lately due to having been away visiting family and stuff, and loads of other things going on other channels. So, but I will get back to it shortly. I do mainly late evening chat shows with different panelists. Usually these guys here involved as well as others. We talk about Arsenal and then other football-related stuff, all the latest things going on in the news. Also do some quizzes now and again. So if you could drop by Sam Greenwood TV, subscribe, have a look, like the videos would be great. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I put out some stuff on Twitter as well. You can do that at my Twitter handle is at 1980_Greenwood. So follow me there and I'll follow you back. And yes, I'll be probably on these guys' channels going forward as well. We'll have probably a preview and a review of that, and then there's a watch along coming up for the FA Cup final, which should be fun. And thanks again for watching, and thanks Daniel for having me as usual.
Yeah, and listen, guys, go check out all of their platforms. You know, that's really good. And do keep subscribing here to the Blind Gooner because I've got lots of content. Now that the season's finished, I can work out a proper schedule for next season. Be a bit more structured. Hopefully, things will get back to normal, so there'll be a little bit more of a normal pattern when it comes to next season. And also do like my Facebook page as well, because I'm streaming there now. The streams are going to my page as well. So yeah, if you've not liked my Facebook page, please do go and check that out. And let's try and push it to my first target is 100 likes. So yeah, please do go and give that a like. And yeah, keep it tuned in here. On the Blind Gooner, and there'll be lots more content coming your way. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and take care of yourselves.
No more